Good evening and welcome to the pop-up. I'm your host this evening, Sean Goode, and I'm here with two incredibly brilliant entrepreneurial minds that I have the privilege to interview, Anzhane and Debrena Jackson Gandy. We're going to do introductions in a moment, but what I think is first and foremost most important for the Converge audience to know is that I've been following both of you for quite some time. Now, Debrena, our relationship goes 20 years or so deep.
Plus.
Yeah, I said or so. And Anzhane, I remember the first engagements when you hit me up when I was at Choose 180, and your consistent commitment to find ways to serve community as you build your own profession and career. So it's an absolute gift to be at the pop-up on any night, and more specifically on this night with you two brilliant Black women. Thank you for the opportunity to facilitate this conversation.
Absolutely, and great to meet you. I have heard of you, so it is so good to meet you in person.
Yes, likewise. I mean, I have both of you guys on social, on Facebook, and I see your stuff, but it's not often that we get to share space, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and before we get into that conversation and introductions, let's make sure we shout out the people that make this evening possible. First and foremost, that's We Rise Wines. You got to check out We Rise Wines, a Black and LGBTQ plus owned gem in downtown Seattle that's championing inclusivity and spotlighting incredible, underrepresented winemakers. Come visit them at 1913 2nd Avenue to treat yourself to their exclusive private label wines. Join their amazing community and find your new favorite bottle today. Every time I come into the Black Media Matters studio and have the opportunity to shout out We Rise Wines, I mention that not only are they just a couple blocks outside of Pike Place, they are an event space, they are a collaborator with community, they offer both alcoholic and non-alcoholic options. It is a whole vibe to be in that environment. And, and there was a time in Seattle where we would say, well, there's just not enough Black businesses to support. And that's simply not the case. And We Rise Wines is a beacon of possibility that we should be supporting on a regular basis right down there outside of Pike Place Market. Have y'all been before?
It's on my list.
I have been.
Okay.
And actually was introduced to Jamila, I believe her first name is, and we're actually going to partner on something in November with the Black Business Cohort. So yes and yes.
Yeah, no surprise whatsoever. In fact, I think one of these times after a pop-up, we're going to have to pop up at We Rise Wines.
Yes, let's do it.
And celebrate the ability to be in space with each other. Also want to mention Coleman Commons. Y'all, on Friday, Eric, was it Friday? Yes. On Thursday, thank you so much. On Thursday last week, I had the opportunity to be here with my wife at Coleman Commons for the opening.
Yes.
And they had this beautiful VIP reception, and they interviewed a group of creative artists, these women who have done great things in our community and our region, and highlighted their impact on creating artistic spaces as the Coleman Commons artistic space was opening up. And let me tell you, Ashley's imagination brought to life is a gift to our region.
Yes.
And if you haven't been to Coleman Commons yet, I encourage you to pop up at Coleman Commons. They have the open mics that'll happen once a month. There's a wellness space that they're activating in there, in addition to other things that will be ongoing. But it's imperative that we support what is ours, where it is, particularly when it's done with excellence. And I also want to shout out to Amari. It is a special gift to be able to hear somebody share what it is they're imagining and bring that thing collaboratively into existence in real space. And Coleman Commons is absolutely a manifestation of that.
Yes. And I got here near the end for the 8 to 10 kind of afterglow piece, and still buzzing and popping, and it was just fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Debrena, that just shows the kind of life that we live different. I get places early and leave early, and you get places late and stay late, right? We are just going to be ships crossing.
Oh my gosh. I had a previous event. Otherwise, I would have been here 5 to 7.
I'm going to believe you. I'm going to believe you. But for me on a Thursday, I was like, we're going to get there. Yeah, and I'm going to be in bed at 8:30.
Well, I was bringing up the rear for you, sir.
I appreciate you. Bless you.
Happy
Bless you. Bless you. We have people here tonight and I've already shouted that out and talked about them a bit. I have bios. You can read their bios. They're regularly available. They've both been on Converge before. Debrena has a reoccurring appearance that she's making here on Converge as we talk through her wisdom and her brilliance through the love lies. Mm-hmm. And Anzhane has been on Converge so often that if you were to sign the wall every time, there would probably not be enough space for new visitors when they pull up into the Black Media Matters studio. So if it's okay, I'd like to introduce you into the way that I've gotten to know you.
Please do.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Of course.
I'll start with Anzhane Slaughter. Anzhane, your ability to be able to see a need and meet a need when nothing else exists in that space is the type of brilliance that you embody everywhere you go. Homeowner at 22, right?
Whoop, whoop.
Launching a business at the same time. Studied law, went into real estate, because you began to witness what was needed for our communities, and you wanted to bridge the inequality by being a resource for community. Absolutely. And even as you built your real estate portfolio to be one of the best in our region, you simultaneously built a business to increase access to real estate for those who have been furthest away from home and housing justice in our community.
Wow.
Man, who needs a bio after that? Woo!
Thank you.
Sean, can you intro me everywhere I go?
I mean, no, thank you.
Wow.
Seriously.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you live this.
Absolutely.
Thank
Every day.
you. Thank you. And you have a new physical space.
Yes.
That you've recently opened up.
Yep.
Can you tell us where it's located?
Absolutely. Inside the McKinney Center, the CDC PDA, Central District Community Development and Preservation Association, operates the McKinney Center off of 21st and Jackson, right in the heart of the CD.
Right.
And I have a beautiful built out 1,300 square foot space where we not only have workshops, it's a space for workforce development. We are introducing real estate as a career pathway to anyone who's interested that doesn't come from a background of wealth. And so private offices, we have our closing room in there. We do closings. I mean, it's a beautiful space.
Yeah. And you brought us a souvenir from the space today.
I brought a little something because, we had a closing. Shout out to the Madden family. I'm so proud of them. This is a multi-generational family that is learning how to get ahead by living together. And they got their keys today using Covenant Down Payment Assistance Program, using our education and resources to close the gap.
Yeah, and we're going to lean in more to the many ways that you show up in supportive community and your journey into this place of support. But before we do that, I want to introduce the one and the only Debrena Jackson.
Before you even introduce me, this is just so exciting because I was the one of the speakers at the fundraiser for the CDC PDA and have had a tour and all that. So to hear that that's the space you chose, which I hope it becomes a hub, a heartbeat of the Central District. So I'm just so excited. Out of all the places you could have chosen, you chose there.
Yes. It's
Congratulations.
home. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I introduce you now? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like I said before we got on that I'm gonna be here with these two brilliant Black women I'm supposed to host. So you're giving me permission. So if it's okay. All right.
Carry on.
All right. Now, Debrena Jackson Gandy, you can't, so good you have to have three names, right? I actually don't know anybody that just says Debrena. Like they'll say Debrena Jackson Gandy and then say Debrena, but it's always Debrena Jackson Gandy. And quite frankly, I don't know any other Debrenas, right? Like you are the only Debrena I know, and you're the only Debrena that many people I know, except you're still Debrena Jackson Gandy. And it's a name that means something everywhere it goes. And what that name means is commitment. Commitment to people, commitment to relationships, commitment to a journey that you've been called to, and a steadfast pursuit of excellence everywhere that you are. Developing entrepreneurs, curating those with the $1 million mindset, leaning into relationships, and giving birth to a curriculum out of your own personal journey, and allowing that birthing process to show up and grow up and develop in the way that it has, so other people can hold that child and witness themselves through its gaze. Debrena Jackson Gandy, thank you so much for saying yes to hanging out with me tonight.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be back again and again. And
And
again.
again.
We're
And
going to be
again.
hanging out a
And
lot.
again.
I
And
love
again.
it. Yes.
And again, we have some news headlines to get into, but before we do that, we're going to go to break, and we'll bring those up as soon as we return. Thank you again for watching the pop-up here on Tuesday at Converge, the Black Media Matters studio.
Experience the revitalized spirit of the Seattle waterfront at Coleman Commons, a premier event space where modern luxury meets local charm. Unwind in our serene wellness spaces or find inspiration browsing unique exhibits from local artists. Our space offers the perfect backdrop to connection with friends, neighbors, and community. Fit from everything from company galas to your girl's birthday party. Looking to book a space for your event? Visit ColemanCommons.com today.
Every night inside the studio, history is captured. Moments of profound vulnerability, moments of fierce accountability, and unforgettable moments of pure Black joy and creativity.
This isn't just a broadcast. The pop-up on Converge Media is Seattle's living, breathing archive of Black excellence in urban culture. For months, you've wrapped up your night with us at 9 p.m., but the conversation is growing, and we need you at the table just a little bit earlier.
Set your reminders and join us live every weekday evening at 7 p.m. Same raw truth, just 2 hours earlier. Stream us on your phone, your TV, and everywhere you get Converge. The town square opens at 7 p.m.
Pride to me was more than just a celebration. It was an opportunity for folks to see the value in Black and brown communities, and above all else, belonging. So you see, community, that's what We Live in Color has always been about. For you to hear our hearts, see our minds, and above all else, see why Black media matters. Catch this and more on We Live in Color every Thursday on Converge Media streaming platforms.
Welcome back to the Black Media Matter studio. I am your host this evening for the pop-up, Sean Goode, and I'm here with Anzhane and Debrena Jackson Gandy. I'm gonna keep running it back again and again and again.
All right.
Let's go into some of the news headlines. First and foremost, Spokane confronts housing crisis as wildfires ease. Now, my mother lives in Chewelah, which is north of Spokane, about an hour and a half, and I'm going to go out there on Monday to visit with her. And I talked to Omari today, and he was just over in Spokane as a media in support of telling the stories of what's happening there, and the decimation is overwhelming. And in the report from the Seattle Times, writer Greg Kim details how Spokane officials are managing a growing housing crisis in wake of the recent wildfires. The blazes, which ignited on August 1st, led to the evacuation of tens of thousands of people and destroyed hundreds of structures, leaving many displaced residents without adequate housing options as hotel capacity nears its limits.
Wow.
To mitigate the shortage, Governor Bob Ferguson has issued an emergency proclamation that temporarily restricts evictions and protects tenants displaced by the fires. Furthermore, the state is expecting financial assistance programs and providing premium grace periods for insurance policyholders, while officials prepare to request a federal disaster declaration to unlock additional resources for recovery. On the west side of the mountains, we experience the haze and the smoke and the inconvenience because of the quality of the air. On the east side of the mountains, people woke up unhoused. Their entire memories of items and photographs and and news clippings and historical, relics gone. And housing is not regularly available, whether temporary housing or long-term housing, because of the way the market is moving these days. Debrena, I'm first curious from you on a relationship lens. When a family is navigating that type of emergency, what is it most important that couples are holding on to and remembering as they go through it together?
Well, I think to assume that it's couples because there's so many divorces that have happened since the pandemic, and the marriage rates have plummeted. And so it may be a single parent that is trying to navigate the situation. Maybe you have children in school, and how do you find a new place to live? And now school is starting, and how to go school shopping when we have a whole home and everything we own that's destroyed. So I think the stressors are even higher than ordinarily when people have that kind of devastation happen, because so many parents are navigating it singularly without spousal support, without spousal emotional support. And if you have children, just helping to manage the emotions and the well-being of the kids as well.
Yeah. And Debrena, because some of our friends from Spokane tune in and watch this program, we work together to address pandemics in a variety of different ways. And one of the ones that you've talked about is this marriage crisis, and that the number of Black marriages that are happening are at an all-time low, and the repercussions that has for Black families, and the number of divorces continue to increase simultaneously. In these moments where these stressors are so loud, and we're dealing with finances, we're dealing with temporary housing, we're dealing with instability, when you're talking to couples who are navigating these type of complexities, what's the advice that you offer to them to stay close, to stay connected, and stay committed?
Well, unfortunately, oftentimes when these kind of things happen, it exacerbates cracks and fissures that were already there. And if you already were on shaky ground and the ice was already thin, this can be what puts it over the edge. And so I haven't had a couple dealing with that kind of crisis before, but those that have a relationship with God and have something beyond themselves, they fare much better. And those who have a spiritual connection together fare much better. Unfortunately, that's not the norm anymore. And that is not the case anymore. During the pandemic, there was a huge exodus from Black churches, for example, and people never returned, even when doors reopened again. So there's a kind of a spiritual identity crisis that has been going on, a lot of searching going on, and then not to mention the spike in divorces during and since the pandemic by 32%. That hit our community even harder because it was those quote unquote more stable marriages that were 18 years and up that we always thought were the safe ones, the ones that, would be able to ride out any challenge. And a majority in our community of the divorces was in the so-called stable marriages, 18 years and over.
Yeah. And what I'm hearing, right, in the midst of it all, cling to the thing that feels eternal, right? And that eternal thing will carry you through the temporary.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anzhane, you work in housing day in and day out, and you work with those furthest away from housing justice. And so when folks have homes that may be rentals, maybe homes they own, and then they're displaced, and then they're displaced in an environment where the housing supply may not be high, if you were talking to our friends in Spokane, our Converge community members, where's the wisdom that we lean onto to be able to weather this storm that best prepares us for what is to come next?
Well, it's so important that when representing communities that are marginalized, that we do have a seat at the table. So I do serve as a director amongst our Seattle-King County Association of Realtors. I am a director within the Washington Realtors. And for 25 years now, realtors across the country have been coming together when our governments have failed our homeowners. In 2001, the National Association of Realtors founded the Disaster Relief Fund, which I am proud to be an ambassador of, to help add money to these pots. And for our Spokane families and friends, the National Association of Realtors, and specifically the Spokane Realtors, showed up in a major way after the August 1st, ignition of the wildfire. Within that week, by August 6th, the National Association of Realtors Relief Fund awarded a $500,000 grant to the Spokane Realtors that is currently available for homeowners who have been impacted by these disasters. All you need to go is to the Spokane Realtors office. You can also go to Lake Stevens. The Stevens County is also included in that. And so that'll be my first thing, Do not count yourself out before you count yourself in. New programs are always popping up in the midst of tragedy, disaster. Yes, our governor, Ferguson, was very quick to act as well, right, with the moratoriums of evictions. And we have to remember that that's not just on the east side of the mountains. That transfers over. Governor of all of Washington State. A lot of these families have had to join their friends and churches and people with resources on this side of the mountains since they've been displaced. And so those that can't afford to pay their rent because they are helping someone in need are also included in those protections of those moratoriums, as well as the financial aid assistance that is being offered on the state level. So don't count yourself out. Find the realtors and the professionals that want to support you, that know something about resources that are available in your area. Because in tragedy, it's so easy to be negative, and so easy because all you see in front of you are ashes. But it's in those key moments where we need to come together, find the people that care about you. If you only know one realtor in the area, call that realtor. Yeah. Have them call a friend and call a friend. Yeah. There is support that's out there.
Yeah. Don't count yourself out before you count yourself in.
That's right.
Clip it. Clip it. Next article we have is from the Seattle Media, where Kira Doyle reports how Seattle's Central District continues to serve as cultural heart of the city's Black community, despite significant demographic changes driven by rising housing costs. Although the Black population in the neighborhood has dropped dramatically from around 80% to just 8%, community leaders like the one, the only Stephanie Johnson Tolliver of the Black Heritage Society and Tiffany Kelly Gray of Bird Bar Place emphasize that displaced residents frequently return for cultural events, church services, and local businesses. Now, Tiffany, I apologize. I went really in on the one and the only Stephanie Johnson Tolliver. We all got favorites in the world, and that's one of my favorite humans. But I apologize, Tiffany. I didn't mean to underplay your contribution to lift up hers, and Stephanie Johnson Tolliver is a legend, and I'm grateful to know. I would have to agree. When coming to the Central District, it feels like a pilgrimage sometimes, right?
Yes.
And the way that they've kept that space active and Black, and shout out to Jasmine at Art Noir and all the cultural activations that they bring up there. Shout out to Marjorie, shout out to Communion.
Shout out to Earl's.
Right,
shout out to Avole Coffee.
Yeah, all of it, right?
Yeah.
Jerk Shack, Trey, shout out to Trey, right? All of them. Shout out to them all, right?
Yes.
For their consistency in making sure Black businesses are present there and giving us a place to return to.
Yes.
Because, man, I get excited about popping up in the Central. I would be even more excited to pop up and own a place in the Central. But I was talking to our dear friend Elishaba the other day about home ownership in the Central, and that gets more and more and more difficult because of inventory. That's nothing you know about at all, right?
Oh, man, we could talk all day. I don't know if we have time.
No, we don't got all day time. But tell me from your lens, what makes the Central so special that even when people are living in the Kentral District, right, they hop on I-5 and take that trip back up north to come home?
Well, I mean, I got to add YBH into the mix. I know we new into the CD, but I just got to shameless plug. Yeah, YBH is back in the CD
Hold
too.
the soul sign up again. Hold the soul sign up again, right?
Woo!
They're doing it. Young Black home ownership.
Yes. But no, I mean, so I'm living proof that this is still happening as of 2026, where, those that have been displaced, that were historically residents, are still find home, even though the residents of the area don't look like us. And I think the reason being, at least for myself, right, Black is not a monolith. We all have our own different reasons. But my family is 4 generations deep in Seattle. We migrated here in the 1940s. My blood relative is Jimi Hendrix. You know, my great grandmother was his aunt, raised him on Yesler, you know, in the Yesler projects that don't exist anymore. People, you say Yesler projects, you see sky rises now, and you're like, these ain't no projects yet. That's not what they looked like. There's definitely roaches in there. But anyways, that history, you know, a lot of Washington does not feel like home for Black people. We still make up only 4% of the population of this country. Even as population increases, our numbers stay right around 4%, and that's because people leave to find that culture. But for those that have, for myself, right, where the opportunity, the service, my vision, my purpose is all, you know, the headquarters is here in this soil of Seattle. The closest thing to a Black community that we can see physically around us in artwork, in businesses, you know, that I actually have lived experience that I can remember, you know, is right there in the CD. And so that's what's brought me back, you know. And we still have Emoja Fest. We just had Nia Fest. We got Juneteenth. We see the caravans of Black people coming to the CD. Also the views. Come on now. I mean, it's just a beautiful place to be on a sunny day. I want to drive around Lake Washington. I don't even live in Seattle. I'll come to Seward Park, you know, just because I know the route and I know I feel safe and it's a beautiful place to be. And so that's what I would say, right? From my experience.
Yeah, and Debrena, for you, it's a different take, right? Because you've been adopted by the region, but like Thurston County?
By the city, yeah, because my parents moved from the Deep South to get out of the segregated South. They didn't want their kids growing up there. And so Thurston County is where my mom and dad still live to this day, and where me, my brother, and sister grew up. Started on the east side of the mountains, and then moved over for my dad to work for then Governor Daniel J. Evans. And so Seattle has been since only 1990. But even 1 hour up I-5, it was a culture shock because we're very cohesive and unified in Lacey. And Seattle actually rocked me because of, I thought it would be more cohesive because there was just more Black people than Lacey. But it's what I call home now, and I wouldn't live any other place.
Yeah. And when I say adopted by the region, it's because you get love everywhere you go up and down that I-5 corridor. Right, you could be in Pierce County, you could be in South King County, you could be in the city of Seattle.
Oh, that's what you mean by that. Well, then, okay, yeah.
That's what I mean by the region.
I see what you mean now.
That's where I was going with that. I'm not trying to
you.
I mean, and you know, and if we're gonna be honest, in this context where we say 1990, like it wasn't that long ago.
I know. In my mind, it wasn't long ago. Isn't that crazy?
I know, but this one right here might say something otherwise.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't think it was that long ago.
Were you born?
I'm a 90s baby. Okay. I was born, yes. That'd be very impressive. If I wasn't, you know. Just a child genius over here.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And Debrena, like, what is it about the Seattle Central District that is so magnetic for you?
Wow. Well, see, there's you know, my mentor for 28 years, Dr. Maxine Mims, whose face is on the side of one of the buildings in the Africatown Plaza, would always point out, she says, we have a smaller percentage of African Americans than, you know, Atlanta or Oakland. She goes, but that cultivates and develops a certain kind of creativity and resilience. And I hung on to that. So instead of, you know, saying, I wish I lived where there was more, no, this is where I live. And with all this water and beauty and not taking each other for granted because there just aren't large numbers, it has cultivated aspects of me that if I lived in a place with more Blacks, I think I might be a little lazy and take Black folks for granted. So it has worked for me. And as I travel around the country, I see what has been developed in me, like the ability to interact across different types of ethnicities versus only with Black folks who maybe I live around, work around. I'm comfortable in any setting with any ethnic makeup. And not all Black folks have that luxury, let's say, because they've grown up in more of a homogenous culture with Black people everywhere. So I consider it a blessing. And I'm also delighted at the expansion of our Black events that have been based there in the CD. I remember a few years ago, went to the reunion on Union, where part of it is this long supper table, right?
Yeah.
And we were on 24th, just half the street, just a few years ago. This year went back, and now 3 blocks is blocked out. And instead of one long banquet table, they have 3 long rows of tables. And I mean, so I have seen in a very short amount of time attendance at those kinds of events triple. That I don't know if other cities that have larger Black populations could say this Black event has tripled in attendance. But because we now value even more than we did before because of the decimation of numbers, now it is like a pilgrimage, and your commitment to going, my commitment to going to things now has heightened. It's, I'll catch the next one. Oh, no. I must be there for the melanin interaction and the feeding of my soul.
And deep gratitude for like Africa Town, right?
Oh, yes.
And these stakeholders that continue to create activations.
Wanawari.
Wanawari, right? They continue to create activations in our community. They give us something to come back to.
Yes.
Both of you have come back to Converge and back to the pop-up, and we're going to come right back to your stories in just a moment. But we need to go to break, and when we return, we'll learn more about what it is that you both have to share this evening. Thanks again for being in space with me.
Pride to me was more than just a celebration. It was an opportunity for folks to see the value in Black and brown communities, and above all else, belonging. So you see, community, that's what We Live in Color has always been about. For you to hear our hearts, see our minds, and above all else, see why Black media matters. Catch this and more on We Live in Color every Thursday on Converge Media streaming platforms.
Black women in Washington face more than twice the risk of syphilis in 2024, but cases are falling as we learn the facts and look out for ourselves. Yet 1 in 10 pregnant cases were among Black women, but more than half of potential congenital cases were prevented with early care. Early testing makes a difference. Get tested and protect yourself. Protect your child. Protect the community.
Discover the new heartbeat of Seattle's waterfront at Coleman Commons, the Emerald City's premier event space where culture, creativity, and community come together. Looking to book a new space for your event? Visit ColemanCommons.com today.
When our community seeks answers, we just don't report the news. We hold the space for the solutions. The Pop-Up, bringing you face-to-face with policymakers, change makers, moving your city forward. Unfiltered, unapologetic, and essential. And now, we're going to come to you a little bit earlier. Tune into the Pop-Up weeknights at 7 p.m., where culture meets Converge.
Welcome back to the Black Media Matters studio. It's Tuesday night at the Pop-Up. I'm your host, Sean Goode, here with the one and the only Anzhane Slaughter and the one and the only Debrena Jackson Gandy.
Beep, 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 beep. I'm pointing at Anzhane. I'm so tickled to be with her tonight.
We got sound effects now.
Hey,
we got sound effects on a couple of different occasions.
Yes.
Right, we got a whole podcast situation with our own sounds, right? I am not mad.
We need a soundboard.
I am not mad about it. Well, like Debrena, since we're back, there's something in particular that I know you wanted to talk about tonight, and I wanted to lead in with it, and that's STDs. I just said that with a straight face. I just did that with a straight face, right? And STDs in this context mean something different than what they do to a medical professional.
Right.
Talk to us.
Yeah. Well, it was several years ago where I was sitting with one of my mentees.
This is really an interesting conversation as a lead-in, by the way. That if I say talk about STDs and you start with several years ago, I was sitting with one of my mentees, right? Like, I mean, who knows where this conversation is going right now? But I'm gonna go ahead and sit back.
I'm looping.
Join the ride ride. Welcome to the ride. We about to hear a story, y'all. It is story time. Tell us about these
But
STDs.
I'm looping it back. I'm bringing it back around. So I was sitting with one of my mentees, and we are thought partners, so we bounce a lot of ideas off each other. And I said, I need a phrase that can kind of capture this completely warped and twisted paradigm we're in around love relationships. And we've inherited it from the Western American culture, has the highest divorce rate globally of any country. So it's not working for the culture, the larger culture, and it certainly isn't working for us as Black people. And so we're bouncing these ideas around. And then I said, man, let me see. Let me play on some acronyms. STDs, and my mentee goes, socially transmitted delusions. And so really we're talking about love STDs because there are many that have permeated the way we've been engaging and relating and have been infecting us and poisoning us. And so that's, a little play on acronym that I use because, in my research of, how did we get to this point of so much breakdown and resignation, the Western American relationships model is fraught with socially transmitted delusions. And it's perpetrated through, for women, especially through the chick flicks and the rom-coms. If you listen to the lyrics of so-called love songs, it's really ownership songs and domination songs. When you watch some of these shows that we have, whether Love at First Sight or Love Island, they perpetrate the STDs, the love socially transmitted delusions. And then a lot of the podcasts where we're speaking from an unhealed place, and there's a lot of vitriol and gender anger, and so we really are in a very love STD steeped place right now. And part of my mission and my passion, my commitment is really exiting us out of that into a different way to relate and engage that produces some wonderful outcomes for Black folks, because we do things differently, we process differently, different kinds of intelligences, communication styles. And so this failed Western American model is not for us and has not been for us. And there's another way.
Come on.
And we got receipts.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. So what I hear you saying is that these STDs are curable.
Yeah, these love STDs
These
are
love
curable.
STDs
Yes,
are curable.
yes.
What I'd be interested to know, if you could, if this was like on the back of a pamphlet that I was picking up at your love clinic, right? What would be the quick rundown of like the top 5, right, that you regularly see people suffering from, the delusions that overwhelm them?
Oh my gosh. There is a migration in the culture to love relationships becoming a take-get model instead of a give-share model. And it's gotten reduced to a transactional model and a commoditizing of love and sex. Very disturbing, because what that equals is high frustration, high breakup rates, even more unhealedness. And when we're unhealed, then we always think it's the other person's fault. So a lot of finger pointing. But for example, one of the female love lies, socially transmitted delusions, even in modern culture, this is not something from the 1950s. Like, we are walking around with many of us infected by the love lie that says love is found. And it's found out there in a man called the one or Mr. Right. And there's only one, which is another love lie, this soul, S-O-L-E, soul, S-O-U-L, mate concept, which is fed to women, going back to the Disney animation films that 99% of women watch. I've done polls since 2009. It's amazing how pervasive the Disney storylines are for women.
I have a friend named Franny who did a TED Talk about the fairy tale industrial complex.
Ooh,
right?
My goodness.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's a huge complex.
And so, so that's a big one for women, that love is found outside of ourselves. And a lot of us have holes, and I'll say in our soul and our spirit, because of things that have happened, experiences that have happened. And so we're on the hunt for the man who has the love, and we treat it like human spackle, like fill my hole. And that creates a heaviness in relationships, expectations that don't get communicated but are felt by men that they were never meant to fulfill, So that's one that I see. And another one of the socially transmitted delusions is that you can go into a love relationship, especially covenant marriage, unhealed, and expect to have a juicy, which is what I teach and talk about, healthy relationship. And so it remains a fantasy instead of a lived experience. And we're also at the point where we have to now say time out, and we need to each stop and do our individual and collective healing. It's like the Monopoly game. Do not pass go, do not collect 200. Healing must happen. So those are a few of the love STDs that I see. And then also putting way too much emphasis on finances. I use a divine design when I'm working with couples around covenant marriage. It's not Debrena just pulling stuff out the air and gluing together someone else's thoughts. I went through a whole very intensive initiation decades ago around my own relationship journey, as you know, Sean, and as I shared in the first show I was on for the pop-up. And that's one of the things I was directed to study, was God's divine design, not what was coming from across the pulpit that was warped, twisted, and inaccurate in 90% of the cases. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't actually studied this incredible design that God's put together. So we also have this notion of marriage as bondage and loss of freedom, and really God's model is a freedom model. That's how out of order we are, because we're experiencing feeling like it's heavy, and people are, I don't want to get married because they watched how others did it and it was a drag. So there's a complete overhaul that's needed and a completely new paradigm, and that's part of what I teach in Love Academy, and to men in mentality, and to women in my Love Academy 101, and then through my Covenant Academy and my coaching with couples, ushering out of the madness and the love STDs into a new paradigm that works for us, and is producing juicy Black love relationships and juicy covenant marriages. And juicy Black families.
I
love that.
My wife and I have been, don't be mad at me, I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell the truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. We've been watching Married at First Sight because it was filmed here in Seattle. One of the episodes. And that is definitely a show where they're passing these love STDs back and forth, like they playing catch.
Right. Well, it's funny, real quick. When I was at the grand opening for Coleman Commons that Ashley did, my makeup artist from a few years ago was on the show doing the makeup, and she was on an episode of that very show. So Chanel was on there. I'm like, you go, girl.
What's beautiful for me, even as I witnessed you share, you talked about this relationship between your mentor or your mentee and you, and like how this thing emerged, and how that conversation, these socially transmitted delusions,
you
right?
got it.
How it emerged, and from that emergence, a whole framework got built around it, right? And you build in spaces where nothing exists to meet that moment, right? And Anzhane, that's something you both have in common. You both build in spaces where nothing exists and do it in a way that makes it accessible. Can you talk about what you've been manifesting recently, particularly for homeowners and these additional dwellings and these opportunities to make additional income off of their property that you began to bring into the world because of something that you saw wasn't already here?
Absolutely. Well, one, I think agency and just taking agency is a key component of leadership. Especially, to be a business owner, you're stepping out as a leader. Don't make the mistake and think otherwise. And so seeing voids, seeing problems, and making yourself the change maker, the solution maker, right? And you might not always have the solution, but you figure out, how can I serve this population that is in need? And that is what I've done. I wasn't born into a family of wealth or homeownership. I always felt and I saw being the only, oftentimes the only Black girl in the classroom, right? Why am I struggling so hard compared to my classmates? I felt it, didn't know why, right? It was my education that showed me, wow, this wealth gap is the true reason behind that you can't see, but is the single factor that is keeping people in the haves and the have-nots, allowing people to get ahead and keeping others behind. It wasn't until my undergraduate experience where I was introduced to real estate from a legal lens, where I learned about discrimination, about wealth stripping, about redlining, about just lack of access, opportunity, resources. We have a huge occupational segregation issue in Washington State and in Seattle, King County. I mean, this has been the history of our area. You know, we didn't have large numbers, so we never really had Jim Crow here. But the way to keep Black people poor was to give them the labor jobs and not the city jobs. Even to this day, we celebrate when our cousins or nephew get a janitorial job with the city, because you got a city job, but it's still a janitorial job, right? So when I figured out, oh wow, this is the secret sauce. This is what's going to help bring stability to our families. This is what's going to help us have options in the event of a crisis. This is what's going to give us some peace and some, security. I did everything that I could to learn how I could bring that to my community, because so many people, family, not family, neighbors, come from similar backgrounds such as mine, right? Government assistance, renting, struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. So if I'm not out here helping change policy to make space for this discrimination and this historic exclusion of opportunity for wealth building pathways, then I am out trying to get dollars, whether they're public, private. I work with banks. I work with philanthropic, investors, state governments, city governments, to create down payment assistance programs, debt reduction programs. This is what our communities need just to qualify for a loan. But that always isn't enough, right? And money is hard to come by in today's economy. And so never, giving up. We have to, as leaders, we have to be flexible and pivot. We have to find solutions in the times. I like to say that I'm a wartime professional in real estate, not a peacetime professional, because it ain't never been peaceful for Black people in real estate. So, back in the day, we had to use allyships in order to just get our offers accepted. That, strategy is still very much in my pocket. It still very much is using allyships within the Washington Realtors, within the National Association of Realtors, within ARIA, other organizations. One of my closest friends and business partners, Vincent Ha, he owns China Harbor. If you guys know South Lake Union, China Harbor, which is now pretty much Seattle Harbor. I mean, he has commercial businesses and the airports and things of that nature. I mean, these type of professionals that are allies that see the work that we're doing at YBH and want to just offer any sort of education. And that's the key piece that we're elaborating on now, right? It's connecting with the allies. When money isn't available from state, partners, we can go to our allies. We can find ways to bring access, opportunity to communities that don't have it.
One of the things I don't want to miss, right? Yeah. And one of the things you're really good at is pulling out to the macro and saying, look at all of these things, right? And then look at all the many ways that we can be in support of those who haven't had access to these many things. When we come back from break, I'm going to press you a little bit, because what I want people to know is how your creative shows up in service to yourself and in service to the world around us. And I have some questions I'm going to ask you to lean into that, because I want people to know not just what you do, but who you are in the midst of what's being done. When we get back from this break. Thank you.
My name's Deontay Damper, and I want to talk to you about something real. Mental health, substance use, alcohol use, things many of us often carry in this community, often in silence. What a lot of people don't know is this: crisis care services in King County are free, and they're available 24/7 for every single one of us. You can call 988 at any time and reach out to trained, compassionate counselors right here in this very region. And we're talking about people who listen and stay with you through the moment to figure out what you need. Now, if you want someone to come to you, they'll send their mobile crisis teams anywhere in King County. These mental health professionals and people with lived experience, not law enforcement, from DESC, YMCA, and the Sound, will show up and support you. And now there's another option. You can walk into one of King County's crisis care centers anytime for urgent mental health and substance use support. Just like you walk into urgent care for a broken arm, but this time it's for your mind and your recovery. No insurance, no appointments, just walk in. The first center is actually open right now in Kirkland, and people are already coming through those doors every day. And more centers are on the way, actually in the comings of years, including Seattle on First Hill, in South King County, on the east side, and one specifically just for our youth. We all know someone who struggles. I have. Maybe you have. Or someone you love. Asking for help can often feel hard, but you're not alone. You have someone to call. Someone who can show up, and now a safe place to go. These services are free, and they're here because communities demanded better. They voted to make it real. The doors are open. Walk in when you need to.
Welcome back to the pop-up here on Tuesday night. I am your host, Sean Goode, at the Black Media Matters studio with Anzhane Slaughter and the one and only Debrena Jackson Gandy. Before we went to break, Anzhane, you were telling us about all the things. And one of the things I appreciate about your ability to tell all the things is you have this wonderful way to simultaneously center everybody else and not mention you at all. Now, you mention you as like an orchestrator or you as a cultivator, but you are a creative and you learn how to create out of your own lived experience, right? So like, here's some of the receipts. Fulbright scholarship to University of Washington, right? You treated academics like athletics. You were like, I'm gonna go ahead and do this thing and I'm gonna ball out.
That's right.
Graduated with a law degree, decided not to go into the legal profession, studied policy, decided to go into real estate, bought your first home at 22. There were some ebbs and flows and highs and lows when you bought that home out in Tacoma, right? That's still a journey that you're in the midst of today. All the while creating an entity that not only provides for you in your own livelihood as a real estate agent, but provides for community by giving access to the resources that you didn't have when you ventured out into that world for the first time.
That's right.
Right? So like, let this whole interview not go by without people understanding the heartbeat of this entity that you live into every day.
Thank you.
A simple curiosity that I'd like to invite forward. How do you stay connected to the creative part of you in the midst of all of what's happening in the business?
Oh man, I mean, creativity is required, you know, to be sustainable, to last, right? I've been in real estate now almost 10 years. YBH will be 5 years in January, 5 years old. We had COVID 5 years ago. You know, there was things that didn't exist and challenges after that, right? You know, so, and in our community, Black people, I mean, we're the most resilient people in my opinion, you know, and that's part of what makes us so beautiful. And so in order to be resilient, a lot of people will say ghetto, but ghetto is being creative, okay? You ain't got a shower cap, you're gonna get a plastic bag. And I still will today, you know? We will find a solution no matter what. And honestly, growing up, struggle and poverty is what makes me so good at this work today. I do not take no for an answer. There's always a solution. Okay, tell me why. Give me some rationale. You know, I was that kid that asked why all the time, and I grew up in a time where it was because I said so was an appropriate response. So that curiosity, you know, it never went anywhere, right? I'm very intrinsic as a person. I don't believe that there's not solutions. I believe that there's people that are benefiting from the agenda and the systems that are at play, and that's why they choose not to create solutions to these issues. But this agenda and these systems are not benefiting my people. And if you see me coming, just know that I'm coming with that energy to make it so these systems include Black people.
Yeah. And this is the beauty of the two of you collectively, is where other people see something fixed, right? Immovable, it is what it is. You see possibility.
Absolutely.
Where people see their relationships as broken, beyond repair, you see possibility. Debrena, what is it that allows you to continue to see possible in these conversations you're having with humans who are going through these difficult times in their relationships?
Well, I have some premises that I operate from. One is that I believe that God created us with a desire to be in connection, relationship, and interrelationship, first of all. And that's just part of our human DNA. and the design of, I mean, we look at nature and how interdependent it is. We humans are part of nature. We're not outside of it or separate from it. And so I know that underneath all of the frustration or the anger or the hurt because of a divorce or because of a crazy breakup where it was done dishonorably with no regard for the other person's feelings or getting ghosted or whatever the stories are that we have, that underneath it all is the desire to give and receive love. And it's built into us. And so, and I've seen what happens when we remove the blocks and the obstacles to doing that. And it's enough to keep me going. It's enough to, no matter what I see or what I hear, to know that that is a truth that pulses, you know, under it all. And this model that we've been given in this Western American materialistic, capitalistic, individualistic culture is a failed model. But let us not give up on love. Let us not give up on loving each other. Let us not give up on covenant marriage and its brilliant design by the maker of us. And when people can detox from the gunk, the funk, and the junk, as people often quote me saying, I've seen what can happen when the hearts are reopened. I've seen the beauty of a black man and a black woman coming together in love, and how that partnership, given the resilience, the melanated genius, the unique black brilliance, and all those things are now exponentially increased and multiplied because of that union, it gives me fuel to never give up on love and relationships and covenant marriage.
And our community is better because of your shared commitment to never give up on what it is you believe to be true and what it is you see as possible.
And we know to be true.
Absolutely.
What you know to be true.
Yes.
So it's possible. And matter of fact, we have the roadmap. It's so funny when you know the solution. We have the solutions. It's not enough to just know the solution. You know, I mean, the work that we do, we are undoing conditioning, generations of conditioning, generations of media passing down poor narratives and targeting them at our community. You know? So it's an uphill battle all the time. But that desire and that will to help, the will to serve and impact, even if it's just one person. We know we ain't gonna save everybody. We're not here to save everybody. That's biblical in itself. But I can't sleep at night, and it was for several years before I even founded YBH. Where I wasn't getting good sleep because I wasn't out doing exactly what God intended my purpose on this earth to be doing.
Well, we are better because you're living aligned.
That's right.
All right. There's three things that I often talk about. We haven't had enough alliteration tonight between the two of you, right? There's plenty of that going back and forth, right? But I hear both of you saying it with intention. There's awareness, there's access, and agency. When those three things are present, movements are built. Aware of what's up, what's available, what's happening, right? The need, access to the resources, the tools to do something with it, and the agency to know that it's for you, right? And you both are living embodiments of that. Thank you so much for pulling up here at the pop-up on Converge this Tuesday night. And thanks for letting me facilitate this conversation.
Yes, indeed. And we got to add healing. When we talk about love relations, we got to add healing into that fourth piece there. Critical, pivotal, essential.
And the best part about Debrena is she's going to be here again and again and again. Right? And we're going to continue to find ways here on the Converge Platinum for people to not only hear what it is that you have to share, but experience it in real time. And I'm grateful for the ways that you're going to begin to play with Coleman Commons and continue to integrate your brilliance into this space that's in service to the collective us. Thank you for that, Debrena. And thank you both for being here. I got a couple closing things that I need to do that are part of like the routine here, Eric. And let me not be remiss. There is the Black Business Leadership RUDS Rub Initiative will host the 5th annual Black Business Leadership Conference on Saturday, August 15th. That is this Saturday at the University of Washington South Hub in Seattle. Started by Louis Rudd of Ezel's Chicken, Y'all know we Zell Chicken. The conference equips Black business owners with the strategies, relationships, and resources needed to build sustainable businesses. The strategies, relationships, and resources. We're missing another R there for the alliteration. I'm gonna go ahead and run that back again. No, I'm kidding. So check it out this Saturday. If you're an entrepreneur, you need creativity, you need community, and you need people who can see what it is you see alongside you for that to be brought into fruition. Debrena talked about interdependency. Interdependency personified is when you're whole and you're around other people who are whole and you're feeding into each other's ecosystem for collective flourishing. And that's what environments like this allow for.
Can I give you a little hot off the press update? Because this is a new show as well. That conference where I was the speaker is getting rescheduled.
Okay.
So I wouldn't want anyone showing up on Saturday.
This
just earlier today, only a few hours ago, the decision was made to postpone it.
This conference is getting rescheduled.
It is.
Okay, hot off the press, this conference is being rescheduled. So on Saturday, the 15th, if you pull up, we can have our own situation. Right? Whoever want to be there, if you in the street, see me there. No, I'm kidding. Also important, most important, Converge is of the people, for the people, by the people, and supported by each and every one of you. It's supported by your streams, by your restreams, by your likes, your retweets, all the ways that you engage socially. It's also supported by your resources. There's a QR code that's available to you on the screen. If you pull out your smartphone, which must be an iPhone and not an Android, because if it's an Android, it lacks I'm kidding. Debrena's over here looking at me wild. And so if you got an Android, the QR code will work too. It's just fine. But scan the QR code, follow that through, and where that will take you is to an invitation. That invitation is to join this movement, to be a part of this collective in a financial way. When you say yes to Converge with your financial resources, you are saying yes to Black media, and you are affirming that Black media matters. And if you believe that to be true, click on the QR code and join us in this movement here at Converge. Last but not least, make sure you grab yourself a We Live in Color t-shirt. There's another QR code. You can click that. That's another way to advance the mission of Converge here in the community and wherever you pop up at. Look, y'all, thank you so much for the gift of time and space. Thanks all of you for tuning in on this Tuesday and for continuing to support this pop-up and Converge here at the Black Media Matters studio. As always, remember, I love you. You are complete. You are enough. And you are held. Be kind to yourself. Take care, y'all.